What's up, YouTube? I have got something new for you guys. It is a Toyota Tacoma pre-runner. This is a two-wheel drive. It's a 2000 3.4 liter V6 Toyota Tacoma. It's a little bit beat up, a little bit worn out, but pretty good looking rig overall. Got it for cheap. Got it for $1,000. So knew there was some issues, agreed that those issues wouldn't be a problem, and just, agreed to take it as is. They were going to buy a new rig. They were hoping to get $1,000 on trade-in for it, just due to the, problems that had kind of existing. But yeah, I really like it so far. I don't know if you guys know, I sold the 4Runner. Sorry about that, guys, but yeah, the 4Runner is sold, and looks like it's locked, so I'll have to grab the key before we can go inside. But traded the 4Runner for a pretty nice truck, F-250 Super Duty, and did that right about the time Twinkles and I went on honeymoon, and I needed something a little bit bigger to pull our toy hauler with. So ended up trading the 4Runner straight across for a 2000 F-250 turbo diesel. So ever since then, I have been without a Toyota, and I really wanted another one. So this one is very similar to the 4Runner, but it is actually a two-wheel drive instead of a four-wheel drive. And it's a 2000 instead of a 98. It's a little bit newer, but it has the same 3.4 liter. The most important thing, though, with this truck is it has less miles. So this truck only has about 200,000 miles. I say only 200,000 miles because these things are known to go, well up into 300,000 miles. And it does look like, by the label on the engine, it does look like it needs a timing belt. It's probably due, it looks like the timing belt's been in there for about 100,000 miles. So I'm thinking it could probably use one of those. It did need tires. I went ahead and just got 4 used tires since I'm not planning on buying like mud tires to put on there. I just went ahead and went down to a used tire shop and had some tires put on there. It does have a factory lift kit since this is the pre-runner. The tires I put on there are just some pretty standard Yokohama. They're not even off-road. I think they're just a highway tread, just to kind of get me around for now. It's like a YK HTX tread. Again, not really that much, not too aggressive. These were a used tire. I think I paid under $200 for the full set. Just to kind of get me back on the road, kind of get this thing, they're rollers, just to kind of keep it, rolling around while I work on it. But yeah, so it's Toyota Tacoma, 2000 Toyota Tacoma V6. It's a 3.4 liter V6, like I mentioned earlier. This is an automatic. And let me go grab the key, I'll show you guys the inside. Alright, so here's the inside. It's got a pretty clean interior, actually. She had some dogs, so there's some dog fur. She had a dog, so there's dog fur inside. But not too bad at all. There's one little rip in the seat over there. But it's really clean. It's a lot cleaner than the 4Runner was when I got it. I cleaned all kinds of junk out of that 4Runner. It's a nice little Pioneer deck. I think I'll probably be replacing that because it doesn't look like it has a USB connection or an aux input. If it's Bluetooth, it might be alright, but it doesn't look like it has that either. So Ixnay on the Pioneer A. Probably get rid of that. But yeah, the interior is pretty clean. Let me start it up so you guys can hear it run. Okay, so I'm going to have to start it from over here because I don't feel like climbing over there. And one thing about this truck right now is that the door handle doesn't work on the driver's side. So I'm just going to start it from over here. This is a cold start. It hasn't been started in 2 days, and it's it's raining outside. So let the glow plugs warm up. Just kidding. I might hear a little exhaust leak over here. I'm not sure. It kind of sounds like maybe there might be an exhaust leak on the right hand side. I'll have to get in there really close and just take a look. I haven't really heard a lot of these engines before, so that might just be the way that it sounds, but it kind of sounds to me like maybe it's got an exhaust leak on the right side. That's also the side the tailpipe comes out. One cool thing about this truck is it has the rear locking differential. That's something I wish that 4Runner that I had would have had. It's one of the reasons I kind of got rid of it. It didn't have that. I mean, you can add the e-locker, or you can add an aftermarket kit, but anyway, the old 4Runner didn't have that. This one does. Pretty cool, and it's automatic, like I mentioned. It's got the handle up there for the parking brake. It's kind of like my old 4Runner that I had. It's the extended cab. Pretty nice. She's got like this platform thing in here that she had her dog kennel sit on. I'll probably take that out. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's a pretty cool little rig. Pop the hood and show you guys under the hood. Yeah, hopefully that's the hood and not the parking brake release. Oh yeah, the parking brake release is the handle, so I don't think that's the parking brake release. Alright, sorry it's kind of dark, guys. It's starting to get dark. But you can hear it. It sounds pretty smooth. Yeah, it needs to be cleaned up a little bit. But not a lot of noises coming from the top end. Sounds pretty smooth. I don't hear a lot of knocking and ticking anyways. For an engine with 200,000 miles on it, sounds pretty smooth. Still got the original coil packs on there. I do have some new spark plug wires and some spark plugs ordered. I'm going to change the plugs all out and do that as part of my maintenance that I'm going to do on this thing. I didn't see a ton of oil leaks down there. There was some oil leaks and maybe a little bit of transmission fluid, but not bad. Overall, not bad for an engine with 200,000 miles on it. I'm pretty excited to have this. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to clean it up and keep it or sell it or what's going to happen, but yeah, I'm just really excited to have a Toyota Pre-Runner. Never had one of these before. Excited to drive it. So the front shocks are pretty much bad. The ball joints are bad. That's one of the things I got ordered up already. And it really does sound like maybe it has an exhaust leak coming. So here's what the exhaust sounds like back here. If I go up here, I swear it sounds like there's an exhaust leak. See any holes there. Kind of sounds like maybe there's an exhaust leak up here somewhere. Yeah, maybe it's just me. Do I see any leaks up there? Oh, anyhow, see a little bit of leaking coming from the steering there. Hopefully that doesn't become a major issue. Sway bar bushings look good. I went ahead and got sway bar links anyhow. And new shocks and new ball joints, those are all here. They've all arrived. And that's kind of why I'm doing this video right now, guys. Just kind of giving you a little overview. This is the before shot. So, and I can't wait to dig into this thing and get her back on the road. Get those ball joints fixed and get those shocks fixed, because it rides terrible right now. It's rocking all over the road. Just trying to drive straight. It's pretty much just like the 4Runner was when I got it, before I did the whole front end on it. So, alright, what's up YouTube? Out here working on the Tacoma today. A little bit better light now. You can see this paint job that is pretty bad, to say the least. It's got some pretty bad clear coat right there and right there, and it looks like maybe they replaced this mud flap at one point. I'm not really awake yet. I don't think that's called a mud flap. Oh, and the tree I had it parked under dropped a nice big piece of sap there, so I'm going to have to get that off before it bakes on. But first things first, I'm fixing the door handle. Not very exciting. Oh, I can't open it because the door handle doesn't work, but just starting to rip all the trim off the inside of the door and get down to where the brake handle actually is. And you can see I've started pulling that off. There's no screws. It all just pulls off. So working on the door handle first. I don't think I've done the walkthrough, show you guys everything I got for this yet. So let's take a look at that right now. First things first, I got a new door handle. And this is just a Amazon door handle, fairly cheap. And it's for the driver's side door, and it's the one with the chrome handle. There's the model number if you want it, 51517. So this was made about a year ago. It's a fresh door handle. So kind of like the 4Runner, I got some spark plugs. I think these are the exact same spark plug wires that I got before, the blue NGK. Once again, you only need 3 because the coils are right above the spark plugs on one side. And so there's those. We got 3 spark plug wires. I got 6 spark plugs. That is a V6. And there's the spark plug wires, or spark plugs. And I got the NGK Platinums, NGK G-Power Platinums. I got 6 of them, so there's a pack of 4, and then 2 more. I'll be sure to gap those before I put them in. This looks like the Sway Bar Link. Sway Link. Link Kit, they call it. This is going to be the other Link Kit. I got 2 of those for the front. And that actually looks different. What is that? That is Link Kit. Okay, so the box is just different. Alright. And then here we got, this is a ball joint. So this is going to be one of the upper ball joints. There's the other upper ball joint. And we also have, this is going to be probably a tie rod. Didn't read the side yet, but I know this is probably, this is an inner tie rod for the rack. So I'm going to put 2 new inner tie rods on. Again, that's a Moog part. And I'm going to list all the parts that I used in the description below so you guys can click and buy the same things I bought if you have the same vehicle and you're doing the same project. There's the other inner tie rod. Here we have a ball joint. Oh no, that's the outer tie rod, not a ball joint. So there's the outer tie rod. It's a Moog as well. Everything's Moog. I went Moog everything except for the shocks, which are Monroe's. These are the lower ball joints. Good shot of the lower ball joint, upside down, and comes with all new hardware, and of course the ball joint itself, the cotter pin, and yeah, there's a Moog lower ball joint. There's another Moog lower ball joint right there. This is going to be my other outer tie rod in. There's my other tie rod in. And then these are the rear shocks I got. I got Monroe, just gas charge shocks. They're just a run-of-the-mill shock, nothing too special, and should work fine. I mean, it's just a 2-wheel drive. I don't really plan on taking it off-roading a lot. And they did come with the mounting hardware and the new bushings. So there's the bushings inside of there, and a new caps for the bushings go on the outside. We'll go over those a little bit more when I go to install them. And then this is the front strut, one of the front struts. And again, I just went with Monroe, cheap, easy, bottom of the line. This is a quick strut, Monroe quick strut, so it's all put together. I don't have to rent a spring compressor or mess with any of that like I did with the 4Runner when I put the coils on the KYBs. I'm just going to throw these on there and get this thing on the road. I'm hoping to do this all really quick. I want to get it all done hopefully today or today and tomorrow. Get this project fixed. Get it wrapped up quick. Should be a little bit easier since it's a 2-wheel drive, and since I've already done the 4Runner, now I'm a little bit more familiar with how the front ends of these things come apart. Being that this is a 2-wheel drive vehicle, it should make it a little bit more simple. So there you go, guys, just giving you a look at the Taco, and hopefully the Taco will be up and running here soon. Kind of planning on using it as a commuter, and yeah, so first thing I got to do is make sure I can get the door open, because right now I'm having to climb across that center console from the passenger side. It's not exactly easy. That'll leave the window down, and I don't want to get it stolen, because you can open it from the inside handle, it just won't open from the outside. So let me get set up, and maybe I'll bring the tripod out, show you guys how I fix the door. And then the rest around the edges just pop off. This I just pulled really hard and kind of popped off. You can see there's little clips that hold it. They're all kind of built in. And one little thing in the front here, mine's missing. I don't know, there's a hole there, so there was probably something holding it on there. But I just basically pulled forward to get the bottom out, and then lift up, and that whole thing comes right off with no screws. And then once you got that off, you can start working your way around the edges of this. And they just have these little plastic tabs that pop in. So once you get to the handle, then you're going to want to unscrew this part right here, and then the part in the middle right here, so that you can pull the whole door out. And this is all just so we can get to the door handle right here and work on the inside. So right now, my door handle, it's there, but you can see this side right here is broken. There it is. So once you get the door free, you have to push on this white clip right here, pull that out. That's the part for the door locks. And then there's also this little guy right here. I think that's the piece for, well, I'm not sure, but there's something rattling around inside. It's probably the piece that came loose from the door handle. Oh, one of the door screws. So it looks like there's 2 screws that hold the door handle on from the inside. One there, another one over here. It's going to be kind of hard to see. They both look like 10mm. Let's get my 10mm wrench here. First screw. Alright, so inside the door here, you can see there's the first bolt I removed. That's holding one side of the door handle in place. You can see over here, this is your lock where your key goes in, so this is the back side. So I'll need to reuse that for my key to keep working. So I'm going to have to disconnect probably that right there. Somehow get that out of there. And once that's all out of there, disconnect this nut right here, or this bolt right here, and then the door handle should just drop right out of there after that. One little piece up in there, see if you guys can see it. Right up in there, there is a piece I have to disconnect right there. I'm touching it with the head of the wrench right there. It's connected to that rod, and that is what opens the door when you pull the lever. That's what's not working right now. So got to disconnect this, and I've got to disconnect that and get that bolt right there out. Once all those are done, I can remove the door handle and put the new one in. This is what I'm going to go after that 10mm with. Just a little tiny breaker bar with a 10mm on a tiny extension. So I'm going to stick that up in there and try and get that out of there. So that's loose, and now I can just kind of work that off. I'll probably get my fingers up in there. Here's a look at the old handle and the new handle side by side. You can see the holes are in the same spot in the lower right corner. There's a look at the two door handles. The Amazon replacement. The Amazon replacement with the original. You can see the holes are in the right spot. It seems to be the right one. This is one of the places I'm talking about. I've got to disconnect that. And there's another one I think lower down below that that has to be disconnected, but you can kind of see the way the mechanism works. When I pull the handle up, it moves that down. It's pretty simple, that's it, and then it's got a spring to return it there. So as I pull up on this, it pulls down on that. Alright, finally got that thing out of there. I'm not gonna lie, that was a pain in the trying to get this piece out of here was really difficult. I ended up just taking a pair of needle nose and kind of crimping it out of there, and there's a plastic piece that holds the bar in there. I was able to get this part out without hurting it, and that's the most important thing, because I need to reuse this lock mechanism right here, and I need to reuse this little pink clip right here. So the pink clip part was actually really easy to get out. It's just got a rod that comes in and then holds there. To get it off, all I did was kind of rotate the pink clip down and then slide the rod out. This one up here wouldn't slide out for me, so I had to get kind of brutal with it. You can see what was broken though. You can see the mechanism that was broken right here. You can see where the little tab had broken clean off of this part right here. This part normally is what, when you lift up on the handle, would push down on that right there. I think, you know, if someone's trying to break into your truck, these get broken pretty easy. They come along and they pull on the door handle really hard. It just snaps that right off. Also, if the mechanism was getting kind of old and maybe needed some lube, this one looked like it was kind of starting to stick, so maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe the dirt inside of the little mechanism right there was what was resisting it and caused that to break, or maybe they just were a little too rough on it. But anyhow, that little piece right there is what's broken, and we need to take this piece out now really gently. I'm just going to basically kind of rotate it out of there. There's a little tab that holds it in the back right there, and then we'll transfer this over to the new door handle, which is right here, and put the lock mechanism in there. Do the whole thing in reverse order. I'll replace the rod down in that little hole right there, clip this on, clip the rod onto the lock that'll be right here, and then screw the two bolts back in that hold the door handle back in where it's supposed to be. So easier said than done. I wish I could get some better video footage while I'm doing it, but it's just too tight. I can barely even see what I'm doing up in there on my own. But I will try and get some video footage as I'm going along. You can see the new mechanism there, how it pushes down right there. This is the part that was broken on the old handle. So to get the old door lock mechanism out, looks like I'm just going to rotate this to get that tab out of there. So I'm just going to rotate that out of there. Now that rotates, the whole thing just pulls right out. Really simple. So now I just need to put the door lock mechanism right back into the new one, and that little tab that I showed you earlier, it's just going to go right back in the spot where it was before. So you can see that little tab there, right there. That's going to sit underneath that slot right there, and we'll know it's in the right spot because the bolt hole right here will be lined up too. And so I'm just going to push it in there like that. See, so now all we need to do is rotate it until that little tang right there is underneath there. Just like that. So now we got our lock mechanism in. Little tabs in the right spot, little bolt holes in the right spot, and you can see the lock is in the right spot too. Ready to install this back in the door now. Alright guys, got some progress on the door. This screw isn't actually screwed in yet, it's just kind of sitting there. But I wanted to show you guys I did get a little plastic pink piece on there for the lock. And the lock appears to be where it is supposed to be. Just have to get that screw on that side and this screw on this side, and I think we're good. I got that other piece up in there. You can kind of see it right there. You can kind of see it right there. It's all in there. Put some grease on there. So yeah, and the only other part that was a little tricky is these little plastic pieces. I have to push it in and then push down for those to hang on, to kind of hold the bottom in. So yeah, now I just got my 10mm socket back out, and I'm going to take it and screw those in and then test it out, see if it works. Hopefully it works. What's up, YouTube? So I got the shocks on the back, I got the door handle all back on and attached, and the door seems to be working now. And now I'm down here, I got the tire off, got the wheel off, and I got the side all jacked up, and I got the cotter pins out of the top there. Took that cotter pin out and the cotter pin and loosened up the tie rod ends there, and one more down here below. Got that all loosened up. Obviously I got the brake rotor off. Also took off the brake caliper, which is right there. So I got the brake caliper off, got the brake rotor off, got the wheel off, and loosened up all the nuts for the ball joints. Now I'm going to try and just pop the ball joints out and loosen up the shock and that kind of thing, and just start taking this side apart. Get the passenger side done first. Alright, good morning, YouTube. I am out here in the shop again, and it is another beautiful day. I am working on the Tacoma. We're down to the part where we are removing the ball joints now, so things are getting interesting here. Focus, please. Thank you. So there's a ball joint. I've taken the nut off. Well, I screwed it back on the top, tried to hammer it, but there's not a lot of room there, and I had to stop last night. I try and be a respectful neighbor. We do have neighbors here, so I try not to bang on stuff in the garage past 10 o'clock at night. So I had to stop last night, but we are back again, and I was going to be removing these ball joints, and I went and rented the ball joint press tool. This guy over here, well, that's the case for it anyways. The press is right there. Even though this is the kind with the little cups that you use. There's your little cups. So I'll be showing you guys how I use that here in a little bit when we go to press them back in. But first, we got to get these old ball joints out. You can definitely see this one was bad, just by the torn boot. A lot of times once that boot gets torn, the grease pretty much gets dirt or leaks out, and then they go bad. Got the tie rod in, loosened up there, and I've got one more ball joint down below that I have loose, but I have not knocked it out of the taper yet. So the next thing to do is to knock all these ball joints out of the tapers. Got it out. So there's the stud for the top ball joint. The rest of the ball joint is still stuck in the spindle over here. Got to get out the other top part of it now. You can see where I hacked it off of there. Yeah, these were definitely bad. There's half the old ball joint. A quick look at all the stuff I pulled off. The old ball joints and the old tie rods, sway bar link, and of course the shocks that I removed as well. Here's the old shocks. So the old shock, I think this was probably what was causing the most noise, was this ball joint that kind of goes in the bottom eye of the stock shock. It's completely worn out. So glad to have those off, and glad to have all those off, and can't wait to get it on the road and get the smog done. Alright, so the Tacoma is now back on four wheels again. Got the front end all done. Got the new shocks and the ball joints and all that on there. And I got a alignment appointment to go get an alignment done tomorrow, on Friday. And so now what I'm doing is I've got the hood popped and I just cleaned out underneath here. And I'm going to go ahead and start replacing the spark plug wires and the spark plugs. So real similar to the 4Runner, exact same engine. Hopefully I shouldn't have any problems like I did with 4Runner. Just came off nice and easy. So I got to pull this intake and then pull the 3 coil packs that are down in there. Pull those out and pull the 3 spark plug wires and replace all 6 of the spark plugs. So I gotta get the spark plugs out, gap those, check them out first. And it's been starting really sluggish. I don't think it's the alternator. I think the alternator's probably fine. I was looking at the battery, and that's a date here. It's 8/13, so this battery's a good 5 years old. It does have some pretty crappy connections there, but I really don't think that's it. I really think it's probably actually the battery itself is just going bad. So anyhow, I'm going to start working on the spark plugs, and I'll check in with you guys in a little bit. So 5, 3, 1. And if you follow those same wires over here, number 3 is the one on the back. Number 5 is the one on the front here. And the one in the middle I think the one in the middle is number 1. So if you want to trace it out, 5 starts there, and then 5 goes over to the front here. This is the 5 wire, and it goes to the front one there. Number 3, which is this one right here, this is wire number 3. Starts in the middle there, and then wire number 3 runs over until wire number 3 connects with the back here, on the back. So number 3, and then wire number 1 starts here in the front, and then wire number 1 runs over here to the middle right there, the one in the middle. So that's how all the wires go. I'm going to pull my wires, and I'm going to pull the coils, pull the spark plugs, and then put everything back together. Alright guys, what's up? I am back from the parts store, and I went and got some different spark plugs. I went and got these NGK 3967s, and these are the kind that have the dual ends on them, and I've just had a lot better luck with these, and I've heard bad things about the kind, the traditional style that only have the single. What was in it was a Denso dual end plug like that. Show you guys the old one. So here's a look at the old spark plug, and it's the Denso original plug, the K1 6TR11. So if you wanted to order that, you could, but I got the NGK equivalent, which is an NGK BKR5E KB. You can see they are identical, or at least very similar. The length is the same for the thread, and they're both the dual tipped end on there. So while I was at the parts store, I got an air filter, MGA 46109 stock air filter, and I got a Bosch oil filter. This is the Bosch ST3330. ST3330. That's the rest of my spark plugs. So I got 6 spark plugs. And I got some oil. I got 6 quarts. I bought a gallon, and then I bought 2 of the quarts of the Valvoline full synthetic. This was on sale. And then for the fuel treatment, this is what I pretty much always use. Techron Complete Fuel System Cleaner. Had good lucks with this stuff in the past. This treats up to 12 gallons of gasoline, so I'll just fill the tank and pour this in, and it should help clean out the fuel injectors. And then for the throttle body, I got some B12 Chem Tool just to kind of clean it out, free up any gunk in the intake. And I went ahead and put just a little bit of this anti-seize on there. Just a little tiny bit on there to keep the threads from sticking. Now I'm getting ready to put them in. Finally got it. So you can probably see I'm just using a piece of hose here. This is just about 1.5 feet, maybe a foot of clear 1/4 inch inner diameter hose. And the idea is you just kind of stick it on the end of the spark plug and then pull it on out. Works really well. That's the last one. I just got to drop the other spark plug, the new spark plug, in there. Right, what's up YouTube? We're just out here working on this Toyota here tonight. I got the Tacoma up on the jack stands and got it pretty much all rigged up with some new front end parts. Got new struts and got some new tie rod ends, got everything on there. And we took it down to Les Schwab to get it aligned, and they said that the rack was just too bad and they couldn't align it. So here we are replacing the rack. Got it up on the jack stands, and there's the old rack that we're going to be replacing. And here's a couple of bolts here. There's one there, one on top there, and there's one over there, and then there's one vertical up underneath right about there, you can see. So those are the main ones we got to get, and then we got to get some hoses and things that are up in there. See if I can zoom in. You can see it a little better, but it's right about there. So there's 2 hoses up there we got to take care of, and then of course there's a linkage that goes over to your steering, and we got to disconnect the steering, the rack joint, I think it's called. So really not too difficult looking, but I got to take off, just to make it easier, I'm taking off the sway bar. So I'm disconnecting my sway bar links over here. Went ahead and disconnected the sway bar links already, and I rotated my sway bar up. And now I'm in the process of removing my tie rod ends, the outer tie rod ends, and I'll unscrew those. And since these are brand new, these are going to screw right onto the new steering rack. And yeah, so there we go, guys. That's where we're at right now. Got her jacked up, and just gonna be replacing the rack today. And got the new rack out here on the ground. If you guys want to check that out, there's the new rack. Got it off of Amazon. With the new bushing, it was about 200 bucks. It did not come with it. This was something I purchased separately. Prothane motion control 4321. So there's the kit that I bought, and that includes the piece that goes around right about there, and it also includes the other ones that go inside here, and the other one that goes vertical as well. I'm not going to be using the other two since they're actually already fine and I don't need to replace them. I'm just going to actually use this one for now and keep these ones as spares for later. But here's a look at the steering rack that I did buy from Amazon. You can see it came packed pretty well, arrived in good order. It does have new inner tie rods, and it also has new boots. So it's a decent looking rack. I really hope this thing holds up. It was about $200 again with this purchase separately, so I think this was about 20 bucks for this kit, and the steering rack was 180, somewhere in that ballpark. I'll post a link to the ones that I purchased in the description below. So yeah, on to the Tacoma, which I've already got up. I'm going to finish removing the sway bar and then start unbolting the old rack. Alright guys, I'm underneath the truck in here, and got the rack. The old rack's still on here. I'm getting ready to remove it. Just showing you guys what you got to do to take it off. I've already got the tie rod ends taken off, so you don't have to really worry about that part, but you will have to take your tie rod ends off, obviously. So I already did that. And then over here, up above the steering rack, there's two bolts, one on each side. So there's a 12mm nut on top and a bolt that goes through. So I already took that out. There's one on the other side, exactly the same thing. And then above that, there's another bolt that you loosen up, and then that slides up out of the way. So you can see I got that loose. So that part's ready to come down. And there's two lines on top, not these two lines here, but there's two more lines. See if I can get a shot at it, right back in there. And you gotta loosen them up. There's some brass fittings right here where it screws in. And I went and got myself one of these type of wrenches right here. It's a 17mm, and it just fits over the end of the fitting like that, and gives you a little bit more bite on it, so you don't strip out that brass fitting in there. Anyway, there's two of those, and I gotta do those still. There's one big bolt with a nut on it right here. It's a bolt that goes all the way through. This is the nut on the end of it. And then there's two 19mm bolts over there. Actually, this one's a stud on top with a 19mm nut, and this one's a 19mm bolt. You release both of those two right there. So for the bottom part, there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's one in the middle, 4, that goes from the top. It normally sticks out right here. I already took it out, but it comes in from the top. Let's see if I can show you guys. It's basically right down in there. But it sticks out right there, and you got to undo that one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom, and then the 1, 2, 3 on the top, and of course the two hoses I was talking about earlier. So those two right there, and you know, the two tie rod ends, and then this baby should come right out.
Alright, got the two top fittings off there, and it's all loose. I just loosened up the other side over there. You can see it's completely free. All I gotta do now, the only thing holding it on is this bolt over here, right there. So as soon as I pry it out, it should just pop right out of there. Alright, what's up YouTube? I got the rack out. You can see there is no steering rack at all. And you can see the big stud here. Well, it's not a stud, it's a bolt. And I just didn't remove the bolt. I just pulled it off instead. And then the other one is a stud right over there on that side where the bushing goes. And you can see where the other one was removed in the middle there. And it has the thread. So those are the three main mount points, and then the two hoses, of course, that I mentioned earlier for the top part. And you can see where I disconnected it from the steering shaft right there, and how it's got the two spots where that goes together. So now I just need to go over there, take a look, make sure I got the right rack. Alright, so pretty clearly this is the old rack on the bottom here, and I'm going to need to reuse those. So those will need to be reused. Something that's kind of strange right now is that, oh, I see that one's turned all the way to the right. This is interesting. I think this is the factory rack, but it says Toyota with a D. And Toyota, of course, is with two T's. So Toyota. I don't know enough about Toyota parts to know if Toyota is a manufacturer of Toyota parts. Maybe that was the original name or something. I don't know if you guys know. Leave a comment below. But here's the new rack. And this is the rack off of Amazon. This is a brand new rack. This is not remanufactured, so there is no core charge on this one. I believe it comes pre-filled and capped off. So you can see right there, it's been pre-filled and capped. So it's already full. It's got, you know, the steering spline right there. And you can see they're pretty decent quality looking steering splines, nice and clean cuts. It's got the hose already on there for the lower part, and it does come with the new boots and clamps on both sides. So it's pretty much just ready to bolt on. The only thing I have to take from the old rack, and I do have to take off, is the part that goes up to the steering shaft, the rag joint there. And of course I saved the clamp here that holds the bushing on that side, the rubber bushing, and I went ahead and updated it with a Prothane motion control bushing. There's actually bushings in here to do the whole rack, but I think I'm just going to leave the bushings that are in there and just use the this one right here. I mainly bought this kit. It was only a little bit more to get the whole kit, and just use this part for now, and if I need to, then I'll use those to replace the bushings that are on here. But for now, that's it, guys. That's what I got. And the other bushing and mounting point is right there, and it's in there pretty good. It's pressed in there, so I don't really want to press it out and press the other one back in, just to replace something that's not really bad anyways. It's brand new, should be fine for a while. Not really planning on using this off-road a whole lot, so it should be good to go. So anyways, there's a look at the new rack and the old rack for the Toyota Tacoma project. And I'm gonna take a break now, go eat some lunch, get some food in me, and then come back here and it'll be time to bolt the new rack on.
Alright guys, we got the rack in, got it all bolted in there. You can see I got those two 19mm bolts on there and torqued down, and the big nut over here torqued down, and then I got the one in the center there. I got that one torqued down as well. So anyways, then I went to go fire it up and start working all the air out of the lines, and I realized that my steering wheel was on backwards. It was upside down, so I had to flip it here, and I disconnected this again. I had Twinkles rotate the steering wheel with this disconnected, and then reconnected it again. So now the steering wheel is straight, and we have a fairly amount of even threads on each side. Seems like over here there's more, but there should be enough to where it's like even enough to where they can align it at the alignment shop, which I'll definitely have the alignment done after this, of course. So, and then also right here, the boot, it looks like it's got the same amount of throw here versus over here. So it looks like it's centered as far as inside the rack. The rack has the same amount of play on each side. So just gonna torque everything down, get some cotter pins in here, and wrap this up, put the tires on it, and maybe take it for a test drive, see how she does.
Alright guys, while I got it lifted up in the air, I figured why not do the oil change. It makes getting under there easier to pull the drain plug out. And this is what I found on sale. Valvoline full synthetic 5W30. And so that's what I'm putting in there. For the oil filter, I'm using a Bosch ST3330. So we got the Valvoline high mileage 530 full synthetic, and some an oil filter here, ST3330. So we got the oil filter, put the oil, and this is where you put the oil in, right there. And the oil filter is actually down underneath on this side. It's on the driver's side. So I figure, well, it is kind of in a tight spot. Why not do it while I have it jacked up? It'll be easier to get down there. So I'll go get my drain bucket and drain this oil out and change the oil. I also have an air filter hiding around here for this vehicle somewhere also, so I'm going to go ahead and change the air filter while I have the hood popped anyhow, and that'll have done a pretty good little tune-up for it. Spark plugs, spark plug wires, oil, air filter, just the basics, you know, to keep her running smooth. Alright, so I went ahead and removed the drain pin on the oil pan there, coming in from the front here, since I had the skid plate off and it's jacked up already. Pulled the 14mm drain plug pin there, and I removed the oil filter. The oil filter, I used one of these oil filter wrenches. It's like an adjustable jaw style where you just kind of grab it and turn it. And the way I did that, came in from below, and you can't really see it right now. Let's get a light up here. Can't really see it right now very well, but it's right back up in there. Got a new air filter for it, so pop the box open here. Get this unlatched. Pull the old one out. Oh yeah, that is clogged, or at least dirty anyways.
sure if you guys can see that. New one compared to the old one there. Alright, just going to try and work some of the air out of the line now. Go all the way to the stop on the right side and hold it. Go back to the left, all the way to the left side on the stop and hold it. Go back to the right. Right side and hold it. Go back to the left. Left side and hold it. Back to the right. Just gonna do this about 10 times per direction until I go over there and there's no bubbles in the reservoir, and the fluid doesn't drop. So once the fluid stops dropping and there's no more bubbles in the reservoir, then I'll know that it's good to stop bleeding the air out of the line. Alright, so that's quite a few times there. I'm going to go ahead and go check it now and just make sure it's not low on fluid or that there's no bubbles coming out. Alright, if anything, it's gone up a little bit because it's warm. Definitely not low though. So I'll just take it for a test drive and check it again afterwards. Also need to check my oil since I started it now. I only put the first gallon in. So the spec sheet said I needed 7 quarts or 6.5, I forget exactly how much. So I put 5 in and then I checked it and it was right at the perfect mark. But I'm gonna go ahead and check it again now and then put the other 2 quarts in if I need to. Alright guys, I got the front end done. Got the wheels back on the front. And I'm just doing a little touch up now. The front fender looks like maybe it was in an accident at one point. They'd replaced the mud flap and they never painted it, so I'm just painting it black. And it looks like this black's coming out a little more of a semi-gloss than the other one, so I might have to paint the rest to match. Otherwise we'll have one black semi-gloss and the rest kind of faded black. But decided to paint the rims, if you couldn't tell. Doing semi-gloss black on those also. The original stock rims were kind of stained aluminum, and I don't know, I just personally I prefer the look of black. And I did the inside here, you can see I did the hubcaps again just like I did on the 4Runner with the red over the Toyota. These are a little bit different hubcaps than the 4Runner. The T is still inset though. It's nice for the T emblem for the Toyota, so it makes it really easy. And even though I didn't do it perfect, I feel like they came out okay-ish. I don't know, they improved the look of them from completely worn down with no paint and kind of yellowed looking to black with red logo. So those will go on there, and they're a little bit different rims. Like I said, I don't really like them quite as much as the ones I had on the 4Runner. I really liked those ones. I kind of wish I'd never got rid of that 4Runner, but I did end up getting a really nice F250 out of the deal, which is over there. It's the one we took on the honeymoon. It's kind of my main truck right now. The green truck, you know, it's got some issues. It's probably going to need a new clutch here pretty soon. It runs really good, but it's going to need a new clutch, probably a new starter. I did just do the water pump on that truck, but now I need to do the water pump, or maybe something is squeaking under the hood of the F250. So that'll be another video for another day. But this Tacoma project is looking like it's almost wrapped up. Just got to get the rear wheels back on when they're done drying a little bit. Twinkle's made me lunch, so I'm going to go in there and eat some lunch here in a second. And yeah, pretty happy with the way that this came out. The real paint on the side of the car is pretty oxidized. If I keep it, I might have it painted or try and paint it myself. If I sell it, I'll probably just sell it as is with the paint job the way it is. So there you go, guys. That's the Tacoma project, and I'll probably show you guys some more shots once I get the interior and everything all cleaned up.
If I go to post it for sale, I'll show you guys the video and the pictures of the for sale ad. It's got quite a bit of fur on the inside. The interior is in really good shape. It does have one little hole in the seat, the standard driver's side hole. I might take it down and have my guy do that and have it fixed. Has one little chip in the windshield. Other than that though, yeah, this thing's about done. I'm either gonna make it my daily driver or flip it and get some money for it. So we'll see. Thanks for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe and you know, hit the bell icon if you want to see more videos like this. Alright guys, here is the final reveal. This is my Toyota Tacoma. This is a 2000 Tacoma TRD. It's a two-wheel drive model. Pre-runner TRD, not four-wheel drive. But it's a 2000, it's got 205,000 miles on it. Picked this truck up for $1,000 from a friend of Twinkle's. She was gonna go trade it in and they had offered her less than that, and I was happy to give her $1,000 for it. It was running. She wasn't willing to smog it, so I smogged it. So basically for about $10.50 I got a running Toyota Tacoma pre-runner. The ball joints, bushings, tires, they were all just completely blown out to the point where it was almost undrivable. So the first thing I did, went down and got some used tires and put it on there. These are some Yokohama. Not planning on doing a lot of off-roading, so I just wanted something good to get me around, do temporary repair. It's the Yokohama YK HTX. And these are the stock rims, of course, and I just spray painted them black and did the center in red. So that was the first thing I did, was get the tires situation taken care of. The second thing I did was I put shocks and struts all the way around. You can see there's the rear shock right there, and I did the front struts also. Front strut. And I also did the upper ball joint there. There's the upper ball joint. Moog, all Moog upper ball joint. And I did a bunch of stuff under the hood. Did oil change, spark plug wires. Did a video about that. And you guys probably saw it. And then one of the biggest things I did was underneath here, you can see I did this rack, steering rack, which was probably one of the biggest projects to get this thing back on the road, and that combined with the tie rods and ball joints and new sway end links, and yeah, now she's driving, she's running and driving, and get to decide if I want to keep it and drive it as my daily, or if I want to sell it and roll the dice again, see what I get next time, see what else I can come up with. So let me know, guys, what do you think? Should I keep it and daily drive it? It's a V6 Toyota Tacoma TRD, two-wheel drive. Again, this isn't really for off-road, and we have the YXZ, the new buggy for that, the side-by-side for that. This is more for just getting to work, making money. So as you can hear, it runs really smoothly. I got the new air filter in there, changed the oil, got the spark plugs and spark plug wires in there. So here we are under the hood, the fresh air filter, spark plug, and like I mentioned, spark plug wires, oil. Thing runs nice and quiet, runs like a top. Real smooth. For 200,000 miles, this thing is incredibly quiet and smooth. So there it is, guys, my Toyota Tacoma pre-runner TRD. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Should I keep it, sell it, get a four-wheel drive Tacoma maybe? I really enjoyed this project, but I feel like a four-wheel drive would be probably more appropriate for those days when I do want to take it off-roading. It's in really good shape, other than the paint on this side is pretty oxidized. You can tell this is the side that it sat in the sun mainly. Right here and along here, it's just losing the top coat. Bottom coat looks like it's still in good shape, but
Does have a couple dings here and there. It's not going to win any beauty awards. Has a little bit of a little boo-boo there, but other than that, it's a good truck. Really glad I took the project on. I think if nothing else, I'll be able to make a little bit of money out of it if I do sell it. I'm into it about $2,000 if you include parts and what I paid for it. So that's it, guys. That's all for today. Thanks for watching Trail Blogger, and leave me a comment in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want to see future Trail Blogger episodes.